This broadcast is the property of Codependence Anonymous. Reproduction without written permission from Codependence Anonymous is not permitted.
Today's topic is intentions versus actions, finding my authentic self. And I will be the speaker and introduce the topic for today. My name is David. I'm a codependent. Intentions versus actions. In this program, I've learned to ask myself, what are my intentions? What is it I'm trying to accomplish? And are my actions going to get me to that place? A rather crude example would be, if my intention is to not go to jail and I have an issue with helping myself to things in stores, taking stuff that I'm not paying for, that action isn't really going to forward that intention. I could get caught and I could face jail time. So I have to ask myself in that situation, what is it I'm really trying to accomplish? Something has to change, either my actions or my intention. But unless something changes, I'm going to be in a situation where I'm wanting or thinking I want one thing and behaving in a way that is taking me in the opposite direction. This is a fellowship. I can't do this alone. I appreciate and respect, enjoy, and want the support of other people in this program. I benefit from the guidance I get by listening to people's shares, by engaging in fellowship and sponsorship and sponseeship, and being able to talk with people when I'm not able to sort things out for myself. And I also recognize that this is a spiritual program, not a religious program. I came to this program, a loving relative introduced me to CoDA a number of years ago, and I stayed because I discovered that in this program, I felt better about myself. But my intentions and my actions weren't very well aligned. I wanted certain things to happen in my life, but I would behave in a way that did not get me anywhere close to what I thought I wanted. It's only through being in this program a very long time and consistently asking myself, what is it I really want? And is what I'm doing now helping me achieve that? Sometimes I'm able to change my behavior. Sometimes I'm able to either not act in that way or change the way I'm acting, but sometimes not. And I have to accept that I may think that what I'm wishing for myself is what I want, but looking at my behavior, I have to question, is that really what I want for myself? Finding my authentic self. When I came to this program, I was a very passive-aggressive, unhappy, and annoying person. And I had no idea how to behave differently. I wanted people to like me, but I didn't know how to make that happen. What I did do was engage in a lot of codependent defect of character behavior that produced exactly the opposite of what I wanted. The thing I needed to learn to do was to forgive myself and accept myself as I am. I learned that the things I thought I hated in other people was what I really did not like in myself. I learned about if I spot it, I got it. And I'm a slow learner, so the first time I heard that, it didn't make sense to me at all. I had to think about it and hear it a few more times to realize that the things that I thought annoyed me in other people was what really annoyed me in myself. Pardon me while I make someone a co-host who can help me with hosting duties. Jim?
David, I'm here. Jim's here. You can make me co-host.
Yes. Thank you, Jim. Okay. I had to learn to accept myself the way I was and forgive myself before I could change. Just wanting to be different wasn't helping me. As long as I wasn't happy with who I was, I would continue to behave in ways that did not please me and then be angry with myself and punish myself for the things I was doing, which just led to more of the same behavior. I would make people angry and not understand how or why. I treated other people like they were below me or less than me. I acted superior to other people and couldn't see what I was doing. It was only in this program that I learned to see who I really was and how I was behaving, and that those actions were not forwarding my intentions. It was only in forgiving and accepting myself that I learned to forgive and accept other people for who they were and how they were. Over time, in this program, by forgiving myself and accepting myself, I learned to be more honest with myself. My intentions and my actions began to become more aligned. They're not perfectly aligned. And that's my learning process. I go along bit by bit in this program. Every time I think I know who I am, I learn something more about myself. And I very often don't really know myself quite as well as I think I do. That's one of the things I like about this program. It allows me to grow. It allows me to change. Change for me is about recovery, or recovery is really about change. Because if I can't change, I'm going to keep doing the same thing over and over again, and the result will be exactly what it's always been. So I need to learn to change and to allow change to happen, to take responsibility for who I am and what I do, not blame others, and examine my intentions and my actions and ask myself, is what I'm doing now going to help me achieve what I think I want for myself? Because if it isn't, something's going to have to change, or I'm going to be in a battle with my inner self and what I think I want. In this program, I learned to let go of that battle and find a way to have my intentions and my actions be more aligned. And when I do that, I have a better understanding of who I am and what I want. And I learn to be happier with myself. And when I'm happy with myself and what I do better. And when I do better, I feel better. And it goes around like that. And with that, I will conclude my share on intentions versus actions, finding my authentic self, and open the meeting to comments, shares, and feedback. I'll repost the link where this talk will be posted in the chat. Please raise your hand and not everybody talk at once. Thank you.
Hey, David, could you make me a co-host?
I did I not?
I didn't see it now.
You have to accept it. It's probably hiding behind. I'll do it again. How's that, Jim? Did you get it this time?
Nope.
I think it might be hiding behind. It says it's been granted.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it looks like it shows granted, Jim. We are open to shares, comments, questions on today's topic. Intentions versus actions. Linda, your hand is up. Please continue.
Hi, yes, my name's Linda. And this is my first time at a meeting like this, and I'm very grateful that I decided to come. And I did take some notes. And the thing that, like, I do host a women's meeting on Thursdays, and I have a close friend of mine that keeps, she's been in recovery for a while in another 12-step program, but she is fairly new to CoDA. But I just appreciate this talk, especially when it was said that learning more and more about the self, the more you're in the program, that really helps me, and it's going to help me pass it on to others, because I know a lot of people are hard on themselves thinking, why didn't I know this? And I'm just grateful to have that reinforced. Thank you.
Thank you for your share, Linda. We are open for comments, shares, questions. Today's topic is intentions versus actions. And if you didn't hear, this meeting is recorded and the recordings will be posted. And I will put in the chat the link where it is posted. Jim, your hand is raised. Please continue.
Thank you, David. This topic is really great. And thank you for doing the fellowship forum. I think this is a great topic. It took me a while to get it, but I put it together. When I had a tragedy in my life and I reached the bottom about as low as I could go, I had a kind of a spiritual awakening. I said at the time that my heart was unlocked and life started to flood in, and I was full of wonder. That was just over 4 years ago. As I think of today's topic, I realize that it has also released my spirit. Some people call it the higher self. It had been waiting there for me just to ask for help. You see, what I've learned is that the spirit my higher power gave me when I was born is not codependent. It doesn't know how to be codependent. It just waited there while I stumbled through life, trying to figure out everything on my own. When my heart was unlocked, I started to see that my life would be much better if I got my spirit and myself in balance. All my intentions and all my life were merely my codependent efforts to do what I thought other people and situations expected of me. It is this balance of intention and action that brings me serenity and makes me whole. When I reached step 3 and I turned my will and my life over to a power greater than myself, I saw how difficult I had made my own life. I was full of shame, worry, and guilt, because no matter how hard I tried, I could not make the other people in my life happy or satisfied. I never had enough, and what I did have was never good enough. My intentions were good, but my actions were often confused, and I was not happy. When I reached step 4, that is when I really connected with my spiritual self, and it allowed me to truly see myself for the first time. When I found recovery, it was like coming home. I found love, understanding, and companionship, but most of all, I found myself. Thank you for letting me share, and I'll pass.
Thank you for sharing, Jim. People on the phone, you can mute your phone with a *6 if it is not too difficult to unmute your phone. Please respect the silence of the room when other people are speaking. We're open for questions, comments, shares on today's topic, intentions versus actions. The fellowship form is, oh, yes. Kali, am I pronouncing your name correctly? I hope, and your hand is raised. Please continue.
You are, thank you. I have a question. I'm new, I'm relatively new to CoDA, but I haven't worked the steps yet. But for me, it's very confusing that what shows up in control patterns with the intentions versus actions, because I have trouble deciphering between manipulation and then intentions versus actions, because I'm just beginning to understand that some of my actions have been manipulative or controlling, and I'm intending to get to a certain place. Therefore, I'm doing something for the intention that me and this person get to a certain place. And I guess if anyone has any more, maybe specific advice about how to differentiate between control patterns and genuine intention and progress, I would appreciate hearing that.
Kali, that's a really good question. I like that question. Are you open to feedback from other people in the forum today?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
If anyone would like to speak to Kali's question, Linda has her hand up. Yes, Linda, please continue.
Hi, yes. Excuse me. I'm so sorry. I joined CoDA back in 2019, and at my very first meeting, I was introduced to these characteristic patterns. The only reason I went to CoDA because I belong to another 12-step program, and my sponsor of that program suggested that I try CoDA. So being a good sponsee, I did what I was told, but I was dragging my heels for the longest time. But in 2020, I started actually working the program of CoDA a lot more, and I'm on a weekly meeting every Thursday. And as time goes on, I'm seeing more and more of how I am in these certain characteristic patterns. And so I don't know if I'm answering your question, but for me, we've been this way for a while. It's going to take time. It isn't going to happen overnight. It didn't for me. It didn't for my sponsor. And a friend of mine has a saying, more will be revealed. So yeah, for me, I think I was partly in denial. And I'm now, like, I've been doing this for 2 years, and I'm seeing more and more of these characteristic patterns. And also I'm journaling, and I'm seeing my behavior, my part. Writing about it really helps me see my behavior and see my intentions versus my actions. So that's what works for me. Thank you.
Thank you for that share, Linda. Cully, I'm wondering if you are familiar with the document Recovery Patterns of Codependence.
I am familiar with it. Perhaps I should read it again. It would help.
Okay. Yeah. There's 3 documents that talk about patterns of codependency, defects of character and such. One is the patterns and characteristics of codependence that just lists denial patterns, low self-esteem, compliance, control, and avoidance. The document I'm talking about is called Recovery Patterns of Codependence, and it's divided in half. On one side, it lists the same groups of defects of character, denial, low self-esteem, avoidance, etc. It's just that it's divided in half. On one side, it talks about what codependents often do. And on the other side, opposite that, it says in recovery. I like this document. I personally like this document a lot because I've discovered in this program that I'm not as smart as I thought I was. I find there are many people in this program who are much smarter than I am. And what I need is a suggestion, something to help me get started, to go in the right direction. So for example, Ellen, I do see your hand up. I will call you next. In low self-esteem, I'll just pick something random from low self-esteem. That's one of my big defects of character. So it says, in low self-esteem, codependents often value others' approval of their thinking, feelings, and behavior over their own. In recovery, I value the opinions of those I trust without needing to gain their approval. I have confidence in myself. Now, that may not be what I wind up doing, but it helps me get started. And I'll put a link to that document in the chat. Ellen, you're next. Thank you. Please continue.
Okay, hello. Yes, it's my first time at this meeting, and thank you ever so much for your service in making this meeting possible. Intentions versus actions is really interesting for me, and I haven't really thought about it in that way before, but in relation to myself, I would have good intentions. I would believe that I've always had good intentions, but actions have been governed by the character defects that I have. My actions have been governed by the fact that I've always been afraid I'll be rejected, abandoned, excluded, lonely. And so to gain what I feel that I need is to be loved, I would use actions that would involve controlling, manipulating, feeling that others can't take care of themselves, and I have to take care of them so that they'll then need me. They'll need me and they won't leave me or abandon me. So my intentions have been good, but my actions have been incredibly disguised until I came to CoDA and I started to see them written down in detail. And it was very interesting to me because I've only been in CoDA since January, but for a long time through my life, I've had so many difficulties. And all that time, I knew there was something and that I would be being controlling and manipulative, but in such subversive, subtle ways, I'd never be able to put my finger on it or disentangle how. If someone asked me if I was controlling, I'd say, me? What, me? No. And if I said, I think I might be, and they said, how? I'd have no way of describing it until I've seen it written down and I can relate. I can relate to the control patterns of, believing that I'm right, having to convince other people to think what I think or feel how I feel, or not being in touch with my feelings very well anyway. But yeah, it's really interesting and it's really helpful to be here. So I'll wrap up there. Thank you ever so much, David, and everybody.
Thank you for that share, Ellen. Were any questions, shares, or comments on today's topic, intentions versus actions? I did put a link in the chat to the document Recovery Patterns of Codependence. If you are on a computer, it is easy to grab that link. On a phone, it is a little more difficult to see the comments in the chat, but I do believe it can be viewed. Depending on the kind of phone you're on, you may be able to click that link and bring that document up. It's available for free download. There's lots of very useful information at the CoDA.org website for free. I'll put a link to the free section, free literature section at CoDA.org in a little bit. And someone mentioned journaling. Writing is an excellent way to get things outside of myself. Sometimes if I just keep thinking about it inside of my head and just mulling it over and over, it's hard, it's not as productive as when I write it down and put it on paper and get to look at it. Sometimes it actually helps me set things down that I need to let go of by writing about them. So I recommend journaling. I recommend meetings, fellowship, journaling, steps and traditions, and service work. Those are my 5 building blocks to my recovery. And today's topic is intentions versus actions, finding my authentic self.
Got a hand, David.
Yes, Ellen, your hand is up. Please continue.
Okay, well, I was sitting here and I was just thinking that my intentions and actions are quite, being codependent as a codependent suffering, quite wrapped up together. So my intentions and actions have both been for the purpose of, as I said before, trying to control people, or I've got the recovery patterns here in front of me actually, and like I said, they all do apply, but having the need to feel that other people need to provide for my sense of safety, look to others to provide my sense of safety. So my actions and my intentions are both driven to that purpose, which is as being a suffering codependent. And it's only in recovery, as I'm working hard on my steps and going through the program, that I can been working on getting in touch with my higher power, and therefore trying to create safety in my own life and be more independent and more confident, and, as you say, more my authentic self. So it seems like it's really important to be able to recognize what my intentions have been in the past and how I've converted them into actions that have been so inappropriate and codependent. And that although my intentions might be the same, my actions need to be different in order to look after myself and feel confident and feel worthy and feel I've got inner peace and comfort and strength, and that I don't have, and that I'm not empty, and I can get the power from within me and around me, my higher power, and not have to keep so my intentions won't, I feel might be the same, but my actions need to be different. Anyway, I'm getting myself a bit confused. I'll stop there.
Thank you for that share, Ellen. Glenn, your hand is up. Please continue.
Sorry about that. I'm okay. Yeah, I'm trying to disengage my hand raise. Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Glenn. I'm codependent. I'm about a year in CoDA. I joined. My birthday is August 22nd, 2020 is when I entered. I've had a radical transformation because of CoDA. Although I've been in a growth path for over 20 years, I think CoDA really helped me really align myself into what's really important in life. It's like an awakening. When I had entered into CoDA, I read up on the 12 steps. It looked pretty complicated to me. It was just a lot of information. And I have a science background, and I'm also a producer and have a production company. And I think things out methodically and creatively. I look at things as a map. I try to simplify things. And so when I read up on the 12 steps, to me, it was simple. It was basically 9 of the steps had to do with the divine. And the other 3 was making amends. 2 components I had to do. Have faith in God, surrendering to a power much greater than myself, which is God. And the other part was forgiveness. 2 things. So I don't want to, I can talk chapters on this, but I just want to share just on the topic of, what is our topic here? Intentions versus actions. When my son told me about 4 years ago, he goes, "Dad, I noticed that you're simmering in worry," he says, simmering in worry. He goes, "Are you lying to yourself?" I go, and then because I was so insecure at the time, I go, "What, are you calling me a liar?" He goes, "No, Dad, I don't think you're getting it." He goes, "I'm not calling you a liar." He goes, "Maybe you're just not being honest and forthright. That's why you're simmering in worry. Maybe if you clear that up and make sure that your intentions are good, then your actions will be good," he said. It's so simple, so interesting how this this concept that he talked about. He's only 18 years old. At the time, he was only 16. He's a really smart kid. And if not for that, one of the kind of critical periods in my life, I would not be the person who I am today. So my intentions, I make sure that my intentions are good. And I make sure that it's consistent with my actions. Am I acting what I am practicing? Are my intentions good? Are my actions good? I mean, it's simple, but I know it's hard if you're codependent. But because I meditated and prayed and removed all my repressed emotions, all my trauma, it allowed me to clear my mind, making good intentions, not dabbling in falsehoods, if you will, kept me aligned with goodness, and things started falling in place. Good intentions, good actions. Keep myself aligned with goodness. No more simmering and worry, because I'm forthright and transparent. Anyway, but I just want to keep that in brief. I don't want to sound like I'm lecturing, but this is how I feel. And it's been about a year, and I've been doing well, and I wanted to share that to everyone. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for your share, Glenn, and congratulations on your CoDA birthday.
Awesome. Yeah, you're welcome.
Elaine, you have a hand up. Please continue.
Let's see. I feel like I'm doing and keep jumping in here, but I just like, well, share my thoughts I'm having as we go along. And I feel like I was thinking how my actions seem to be what matters to me most at the moment while I'm working through my steps. If I intend to work through step 1, 2, 3, and the traditions, but I don't act and I don't do it, then my intentions are meaningless. So I was just feeling how important it is not only to review my past actions in my life before I came to CoDA, but also to be aware of how important it is to act and to practice what I'm learning and to integrate my step work and what I learn at my CoDA meetings and shares and here, and weave them into my actions and my daily life, so that I'm not just intending to do it, but that I am actually acting on it and doing it. Because without action, the best intention in the world would stay nothing more than an intention. Yeah, but it's just my thoughts as we're going along, so I'll leave that there.
Thank you for your share, Ellen. Linda M., your hand is raised. Please continue.
Hi, Elaine. I'm glad that you keep putting your hand up because it doesn't make me feel so bad. Actually, to be quite honest, during the talk, when we talk about actions versus our authentic self, I still, to this day, do not know who I am. I believe my mother was codependent, and I was very dependent on her. I did what she wanted. I was the person she wanted me to be when I was around her. But then when I was not near her, I was hyper and just let loose. And, I was just early before the meeting, I was writing about how I started smoking at a young age, and I didn't want to. I didn't want to be a smoker, but I did it to fit in because the people I hung out with at the time were smoking. So before this meeting, it's kind of funny, is I'm glad I came because I was doing some writing, and this meeting has got me thinking, I'm 51, almost 52 years old, and I really don't know who I am. So during the discussion, I actually Googled learning your authentic self, and it tells you how to do that. So, excuse me, I've got a tickle. Anyway, so I'm really appreciative again of this topic. It's helped me to open my eyes to more work that I need to do on myself. So thank you.
Thank you for your share, Linda. We have some time left, a little bit of time left. If anyone has any questions, comments, shares on today's topic, intentions versus actions, finding my authentic self. In this program, I am learning to become more honest with myself about myself. I'm learning to set positive, healthy, and emotionally supportive boundaries for myself. When I do these things for myself, I am better able to do them with others. Ellen, you have a hand raised. Please continue.
Hello again. Yes, I'm Elaine and I'm codependent. And I was just thinking that as I've been working through my CoDA program and coming to these meetings and coming to this forum tonight for the first time and learning and unfolding my past and learning about myself and understanding myself more has really been helping me to change my attitudes and my actions for finding myself and becoming my more authentic self and making my actions much more positive and making myself much more empowered and learning at my age, because I can never stop learning and I'll always be learning, but I'm just learning how to take care of myself. All my intentions have been through my life to take care of myself, but down the wrong avenues and in the wrong ways. And through CoDA, I'm now learning how to get connection with a higher power and be able to meet my own needs and have self-care and understand myself and why I have the intentions to survive my life, but the actions were inappropriate actions. So I'm very grateful to this meeting because it's really making me think. So thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you for your share, Ellen. And Glenn, your hand is raised. Please continue.
Thank you. I might add, so what's helped me, keep my intentions clear and good, and making sure that my actions are consistent with that. I didn't want to try to do this. I had to make sure that I had to get to the underlying root cause, the culprit of all things that is causing all of these onsetting all of these unmanaged adult behaviors, which we call, or I call, codependency. So I just don't want to just visualize this. I need to get down to the bottom line, what's going on here? I know I'm a smart guy. Why am I doing these things? That's not logical. If I'm successful in other parts of my life, why am I having these broken relationships? So I finally figured it out, like I said, in my first share, I went deep and got to my repressed emotions and make sure that I cleared my mind. And the way I do things now, because it's not that easy at times. So in this past year, my life has just been so much better. Like people have just noticed, like, dude, you're like a different guy now. Like, what did you do? Oh my God, you got to write a book. Da, 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 da. So anyway, I just make sure that I have the Spirit of God, my higher power, guide me and give me instructions. And whenever I'm ever faced with any intrusive thoughts or fantasies that might affect me in a negative way, I always just look at that as a fleeting image, and I just don't entertain it like I used to. I step outside of my body, and it's just like not overthink it, just like, oh, wow, that's just a fantasy. Oh, that's just an intrusive thought. That's not healthy for me. So I've gotten to a point where I can differentiate between what's good and bad, and what's a good intention and a bad versus a bad intention. And in the promises, I really love that part of one of the steps. It says, I'm aware enough to know not to repeat things. In order for me to have gotten there, I had to clear my thoughts. I'm aware enough to know not to repeat those things. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for sharing, Glenn. I think we have time for one or maybe two, depending, more shares or questions or comments on today's topic. Intentions versus actions, finding my authentic self. If anyone feels a pressing need before we wrap up today's forum, please raise your hand. Yes, Ellen, please continue.
Oh, hello again. Well, yes, I'll just quickly say that while I was sitting there pondering, that I feel on reflection through having being at this meeting, that a lot of my past actions have been intentions. The actions that I have used have been so counterproductive. My intentions to be in a healthy, happy relationship, and my actions have been completely the opposite. Very destructive actions. And yes, I'd just like to say again, thank you ever so much for everyone being here and for the shares that I've heard. And thank you very much, David.
Well, thank you, Ellen, for being here and sharing with us today. Jim, your hand. Yes, please continue, Jim. You're on mute, Jim.
Why did I do that? Thank you. I've been in CoDA for about 5 years, and on the back of the green workbook, it says, to thine own self be true. And that always bothered me. I didn't have really connection with myself, let alone my true self. And I tried to put it together. And in step 3, I try to turn my will and my life over to a power that's greater than myself. And these things happen very slowly. And I've journaled the first 2 years. I still journal a little bit, but I journaled a lot of my journey. And it took me until almost recently, until I realized that there's two of me. There's the spirit self and there's the human self. And that spirit self can see myself and see my authentic self. And then to my own self, I can be true. And this is very important. But these things we get as we read these passages, the welcome and the preamble, over and over and over again, these passages come alive in my life. And I start to use them and believe them. And today I have a life that I could have only imagined 6 years ago. I was tied up in my whole life was lived through my children and through my wife and through my job and what people expected of me. And now I have a self. And when I wake up in the morning, I can say, I don't have to do anything. I'm retired, and I can choose to go to the fellowship forum or not. But I can be true to myself because now I'm beginning to know who I am. I'm a long way from there, but I'm beginning to know who I am. And when I get to know who I am, then I can be true to myself. And when you're true to yourself, that's when I start to set these boundaries they talk about to protect myself. And I always say boundaries of love instead of walls of fear. Because I used to live in fear. I was afraid of my wife. I was afraid of my job. I was afraid of being late. I was afraid of everything. But now he's taken down all the walls and I can put up boundaries of love because I love all the people in my life. And I even love myself because I've found out who I am. So that's my share. Thank you.
Thank you for your share, Jim. It's come to that time. We do need to close the meeting for recording purposes, but I will keep the room open and the mics open after for more comments, shares, and questions. Next month's meeting will be on Saturday, October 30th. There are 5 Saturdays in October, and it is the Fellowship Forum meets on the last Saturday of each month at 12 noon Pacific time, 1 p.m. Mountain time, except for most of Arizona, 2 p.m. Central time, and 3 p.m. Eastern time. The topic will be in the email announcement, and hopefully it will be posted on the CoDA calendar, the next meeting. Thank you all for being here, for your shares and your comments and your questions. Thank you for helping to make this an excellent fellowship forum today. I'll close the meeting with the CoDA closing prayer. And you are welcome to unmute and say it along with me. We thank our higher power for all that we have received from this meeting. As we close, may we take with us the wisdom, love, acceptance, and hope of recovery.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all. And again, the room will stay open after the mic goes off for questions and comments and feedback, if you so desire. Thank you all for an excellent, excellent meeting today. Really appreciate it.